It's literally impossible to call who's going to get first after the day is done. Space Force still not there, neither is Coast Guard, but there's still a chance to make it happen. Now, Ghosh, with just 2 more games remaining, it's do or die now.
Yeah, this is such a fun conversation on this leaderboard. There's so much we can talk about, but the game's ready, so let's get into it. You all can do the math. You all can have your own little storylines about this leaderboard. We'll talk more about it when we can, but the game is ready, and there's 2 games left, and the action is all that matters. Taylor, so few points separate these teams from earning $500 or $4,000. Every single kill matters. Every single gulag matters. Every single, gulag re-entry kit you can find matters. Every UAV could quite literally be the difference between winning $2,000, $4,000, or otherwise. But shout out to Scummin, by the way. Scummin currently did jump up from 4th to 3rd place overall. Marine Corps Alpha Squad, and is about 9 points or so behind the top 2 teams, who are still separated, albeit not by quite as many as they were before.
Not quite as many, indeed, and it's only going to continue to get closer as far as I'm concerned. We start off game number 7 with the game number 6 and game 5 winners, Iceman Isaac as well as Barracks, who are currently where they just won, right? So this seems to be their area. They love locking it down. If we have another end game here, this has to be my front runner to take game number 7. But a lot of other teams to kind of focus on as we get game 7 underway. That's Scummin, who had an incredible performance. We were seeing him absolutely pop off. I really thought they were going to be the front runners to win that last game. Unfortunately, they ran into Iceman Isaac in the end, and we might have an engagement very soon. Isaac, he spotted somebody, and so is Barracks. They're on the hunt.
Certainly their favorite POI on the map. It's proven that quite literally back-to-back in the last 2 maps, but to the Gulag we go, and this is a crucial one. Empathy is at the top of the leaderboard in the Gulag against the king himself, Ahsoka.
Oh no.
Zones off both sides, and yeah, there was a moment where I thought Empathy was gonna come flying at him and Ahsoka was gonna rage like it's happened 2 or 3 times, but no. Empathy playing a little bit more systematic, playing in the back in the Ego Chow, but he loses again on main stage because of a lethal grenade. Ridiculous loss yet again for Ahsoka. Can't catch a break.
That is tough, man. Can't catch a break indeed. That's literally the 3rd time we have seen Hisoka in the Gulag, and the 3rd time we have seen him lose. I hate to say that. He's a great guy, love him to death, but today is not his day when it comes to ghoulies. That is a fact. But for Empathy, he's happy as he can possibly be. He's going to join Stud Manny down low. Meanwhile, Alman, seems like every time we get on board with his perspective goes, he is just in the thick of a fight.
Yeah, and this is kind of the mark of, honestly, the top teams of the day. The teams that are near the top of the leaderboard, teams in the top 10, they're always in fights, right? They might set up for the end game well for a moment as we kind of close out 5th or 6th circles, but otherwise, they're finding themselves in a fight nonstop, and at least one of them is coming out of live. They go restabilize, and then they hop into the next one. Now, we talked about how dominant this team can be because of how good Deep Six is. Almond, of course, one of the top Warzone competitors in the game, one of the top 3 earners overall, period, ever in the game. He's always going to be a top contender, but adding in the likes of Deep Six made that duo one of the favorites on paper, and they've been proving their worth. They're certainly doing well, but not necessarily as well as maybe Shifty or an Empathy, but there's still time left. As Unrational finds a little bit more time for him and his teammate in this map, just barely, by winning that Gulag, as the onus of responsibility to stay alive in the tournament likely fell on that Gulag.
All right, on to Marine Corps Delta, seeing where they currently stand, and they are going to be in 7th place. So another team in contention to breaking into that, higher money tier of top 4, top 3 if they possibly can. Huskerrs, Cryo, good movement to take down 1. That's Swish'em. Down and out. Swish'em will still have her teammate remaining. Curious where they're going to be, but that was the fight for the loadout drop, which is very important to say the least. So now both Cryo and Huskerrs are going to for sure have their loadout drop. They're going to be feeling a little bit more comfortable. Decent amount of money for Huskerrs. If he needs to get a rebuy, of course they want a little bit more if they can possibly get it. But now the question is, where is Swish'em's teammate? He's got to be out there.
Yeah, hunting edge of zone, pretty traditional strategy. Already down to 25 teams. This is about where we find ourselves every single time in the 2nd circle. Some of the teams that fight, some of these POIs contest these 50-50s and they lose, well, you're out of it, especially if you lose your Gulag. So 25 teams left. as we're entering into the latter half of the second circle. I will say Huskerrs team, Marine Corps Delta, they're currently situated in 7th place overall, but now there's a 9-point gap between 7th and 6th place. So a little bit of some ground to make up. They need another big game to make their way into the lion's share of the cash, and then they need a pretty consistent one after that to maintain position. That's something we've noticed now time and time again, Taylor, is that you might find your way to the top 5, top 10, but you got to hold on to that position by continuing to throw up consistent points. These kind of 0-point games, 2-point games, there's just way too few points separating these teams to really allow that, especially in the last 3-4 maps, last half. But Smixy versus Flanked World Series of Warzone teammates, Taylor. Who's going to win it?
It's hard to call, isn't it? They're both great players. Flanked, man, Flanked, Smixy, they got history! And Flank looks to the right, checking the flag. Smixy looks straight ahead and gets the elimination. I know that one's got to feel good because it's like you always want to beat your teammate. And by the way, fun fact, Smixy, I went to her stream a couple of games ago, and she was just singing some T-Swift, and she was going for it, and she sounded great.
Okay. Heard it here first. Smixy not only wins gulags, but also sings on stream. Apparently is pretty good at it. I think there's a lot of streamers that sing on stream and are not good at it. I'm not gonna say any names, but
say names. Say who?
Oh no. Just some good friends that I know that are maybe competing in this tournament and maybe have a first name of Gary. I don't know, but okay. You figure it out. Big win from Smixy. And I was looking at Air Force Alpha. That's Flank Squad. They've been pretty consistent all day today, right? We saw them had a really strong start in the first map and kind of just been hanging out in the middle. They do find themselves in 10th place. So Flank Squad with Rico, if they can restabilize, could have a good game here, could push their way into top 5, but they are currently just barely into a little bit of some cash here, being in 10th place.
10th place. Good place to be in anyways, especially if you think there's 33 total teams. FIFA Kill gonna get Grand Pooba, who we saw a little bit earlier. Smile on his face. What's he cooking? He's got to be up to something. FIFA Kill, smart player, very talented in his own right, great guy. One of the first guys to greet me when I came to the World Series of Warzone Global Finals. We had some really good conversations. Always love watching him alongside Jukies, right? Or even if they're competing against each other, which usually is the case. It's always great to see them constantly playing in tournaments. Two players in front of Huskerrs and Cryo were back on board with their perspective. We saw them in the beginning. Things were a bit dicey. Things have slowed down just a bit, but Huskerrs, Cryo, they're not going to stay silent for too long. They want to get mixy.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, again, they're outside. They're in top 10, but they're outside top 5. It's currently 7th place overall, and there's a decent little gap here, about a 9-10 point gap separating them from top 5. So got to keep up the pace. They've been pretty good at finding their way to in-game. Need to do that again, but also find double-digit elims. Kind of tale as old as time here, right? We just finished up what would be the 6th map, and the leader was at 72 points. So again, you could do the math there. That's about 12 points per map on average that you need. You get a 1.5 times multiplier for winning the map. Again, there's some math there, but you're looking for double-digit elims to kind of break the average, and a lot of teams have been able to do that, just not every single map, of course. But 72, the score at the top. This team on your screen currently at 51 overall, so quite a bit of ground to win, but only about 10 points behind 5th, which is where you want to get to earn some extra cash. And they're just being patient here, Taylor. Like every time I start talking about leaderboard, look away. They're just slowly creeping up, working together, trying to find the right angle. This really isn't the same style of gameplay you see from somebody like a Scummin, right? Scummin flies at that player
Shifty
and just
too,
just trust that he can win. This team is playing a little bit more of a tactical game. It works as long as you find kills in the end game, right? It's the same thing that Iceman Isaac does. But here's one for free. We take the high percentage gunfights. We'll take that and feel good about it.
That was Air Force. That was D-Jax falling to the wayside. One more player still remains. Was not a team like. Matter of fact, you got, at least 3 players around, and I think one of them's going to be on the rooftop. Huskerrs is just wanting to hit a snipe. You mentioned that passive play style. I'm not against it. I think at this point, longevity is very important. You only got one more game after this. You don't want to fall too early. Being too aggressive could definitely hurt, and I think for Huskerrs and Cryo, they really have had some tough fights. Again, every time we have been on board with them, it seems off the initials, they're always in a fight. They've got flashes around them, they got stuns. smokes. I mean, they're just getting peppered. Huskerrs is going to the gulag. It's not that they're playing bad. They're just running into, 1, 2, 3 teams at a time. So it's nice to see them have a chance to kind of slow down and play methodically and have a little bit more longevity, and they're set up quite nicely for the next zone. So this is going to be a good spot for them, and a strong game is needed.
Yeah, it's funny we talk about, tactical playstyles or passive playstyles or what have you. Oftentimes teams will just pivot based on what the map gives them, right? And I think what you can call this is more of a trusting playstyle. You're trusting you're going to find the eliminations in the end game. You've got the best position, and you're trusting that those kills will come. You trust your teammates to hit their shots, to hit your team shots, to wipe some squads when you can at the end of the game. That's what Iceman Isaac was able to do in his first win, right? Only had 4 eliminations going into basically the final circle, but found like 9 kills in that final circle. So if you can trust yourself and your teammate to find those elims, great play style to kind of follow through on. But if you make it to top 5 and you only got 4 kills, that's just not good enough. So you play a trusting play style. Let's hope it pays off. It's like a buy win off on the other side, and slowly but surely gonna wait. Just try to get a bit of information, peek around every corner. Got a portable radar, great. Throw it below you. Otherwise, gotta check the back, check the flank. They're gonna keep doing this for a little while too.
I open up map. If you open up map at the bottom, there should be a keybind for delete pings. I don't
We're
know
getting some lessons here from Huskerrs.
I think we are getting some lessons.
I like that.
Might as well. You got Huskerrs in your house, and you get a chance to play with Huskerrs. Right, an incredible player, and he knows just about everything possible. So, honestly, if I was playing with him, I'd have a ton of questions myself. Wotro, okay, playing against, Doug is raw. Doug is raw. Oh, I saw the plus 500, bro. I'm like, yo, he just hit a miracle nade. And I just called him Rotro. It's Brolic. Why'd he call himself Rotro? He was Brolic for the longest time. Why'd he switch it? But anyways, he's got it in his clan tag. That's on me.
Yeah, you never know. But catches targets raw, a little bit unaware. Finds some nice damage. Brolic can chalice. No, catches some on the back end. Goes for the flag. And then moves in reach house. Tug is raw with yet again another victory on main stage. That is 13 eliminations here for Brolic's team. So albeit, yes, that's a loss, still a win overall. Remember, your game average for your leaders is about 12 points per game. So you've beaten the average already. Anything you can get on top of this is going to help drag your personal average up, because you certainly haven't done that every single time, right? You got a 5-point game, a 4-point game, etc. Got to drag that average up to creep up this leaderboard. That's math, folks. You can learn some things with Huskerrs in his stream. You can learn some math here on Broadcast with Goj and Taylor. But again, back to high ground we go.
No.
Back to high ground we go. Flanked with a sniper. Top of the parking garage here, and I think at this point, still a really solid spot because it is inside of zone, and you got a little portable buy to work with, and you should be able to play this pretty well and play this for a little while, probably into the top 8 here, Taylor.
Tell you what, we've seen a lot of end zones very similar today. It be repeated. This is the second time we're going to see this zone. Oh, my Lord. And that final zone is going to have water on one end, water on the other, and then you got a little bit of an alleyway in between. That is not what you want to see as a competitor. And I know everybody's brain is just starting to, start to think, like, what are we going to do once we get outside of our hard cover? But this is the main task. Smixy has to stay alive, and she can't. And unfortunately, Destroy & Co. is going to push into them. So now Destroy them, they make a return, and they're looking to have a solid finish. FIFA Kill, we saw him smiling earlier as he was getting a couple of eliminations. He's looking to do a bit more. Now, there is a buy station, because as you know, going to that buy station is a death trap.
That's right. FIFA Kill had a little bit of some trouble today, somehow able to stay alive. Dozy-doing around inside the smoke. Might catch one a little bit unaware here if he can sneak up behind. Has to reload or put some plates in and just says, I'm running.
He's going to buy station.
Continuing to run. Gets the buy off for a durable gas mask. Is going to hang out here, but he's getting pushed. He wins it. He's still alive. Can he win again? No. An incredible sequence. Something from a horror film for that one, but not the 1.3 times multiplier. 13 kills, a great game. Job's not done, and guess who's at the top of the leaderboard and is still alive? Empathy Trick putting on a show for us here in Vondel, and yet again alive and potentially into the second highest multiplier, and there it is. Top 7 teams, but now in trouble, Taylor.
At 11 elims in game number 1, they're looking to best that if they possibly can, including placing Empathy, or excuse me, Stud Manny is down. I think Empathy 2, and that narrative will end. But look at these guys from back-to-back winners looking to go a third. Is it going to be possible? Well, maybe. They were feeling confident on stream. I was listening to Iceman Isaac, and Barracks was talking it up, chatting, saying, look, man, we keep this up. We could win this whole thing. And Iceman Isaac said, absolutely. But can they do it once again? Well, Iceman's down.
Yes.
Hey, he's got a teammate for a reason, and Barracks picks up the slack where he needs to. We're now down to our top 4 duos.
I'm telling you, Barracks comes in clutch every single time that he needs to. A fantastic trade. Unfortunately, Ice has been repped out of this game. 6 players left, 4 teams. Barracks, a nice wrap here to zone. Oh, a tough high ground position where the snake can come in. Certainly the case, and that 2 on the outside. I like this call here from Barracks to kind of just wrap and wait. 4 teams, 5 players, 1 duo left, and nice shots from above. Barracks knocks one. It's
There's
a
no way.
1v2. Barracks could go big for the back-to-back-to-back. Break shields on one, getting pushed on the right-hand side, and no, not able to do it. But Taylor, first place,
great effort.
First place, second place. This duo came to show up. Only 8 kills to write home about, but still, double-digit overall, still catching the average. 8 times 1.3, a solid game.
Solid game indeed. 8 eliminations, second place. Look, we take those. You got to remember again, Gosh, you go back 4 games ago, they weren't even in top 10, and they have managed to now exceedingly do well. They come in at top 5, Regiment Alpha, that's who they're representing, and now they find themselves potentially even further up, because top 5 was 60.9 points. To get 3rd place, 63.1 points. It's less than 3 points, right, separating the two. Top 3 within their grasp. They are playing phenomenally well. Now the question remains, who got first place? Because just like game number 5, we had so many heavy hitters with a lot of eliminations. FIFA being one of them with 13 elims with him and his duo after miraculous play, buying the tac mask, picking up a couple more right before he heroically went out. So crazy game, man, and we got 1 more to go.
Yeah, I need to get a word from the admins here as we take a look at our replays on who won that one. I was so hype about a potential, back-to-back-to-back, and Barracks kind of leading the charge on that I think I missed who got the kill on Barracks. Chat can help me out as well if you want to, but here's some of those moments looking back. Again, only 8 eliminations in total for the side of Iceman Isaac's team, but again, multiply that by 1.3. You're looking pretty solid. You're looking at about 11-point game or so, right around the average overall. That's about bare minimum of what you needed to do, but you'll say, okay, we did our job, let's get into the next one and do it again. If they're able to